Hi, everybody. This is Saad. It's been a while since my last Sad Truth episode. I was away last week at several events in Hungary. Budapest is a truly beautiful city. Also went outside of Budapest. I did three speaking engagements there. Uh, so overall, wonderful trip. It was really good to get away. So the trip was a success professionally and on a personal level. And then got back a few days ago, returned to the grind. And so I thought today I would spend a few minutes weighing in on Elon Musk buying Twitter. And so some people have been asking me, what are my thoughts on the matter? Actually, in one of the speaking events in Hungary, I was asked about this. And so let me just briefly, make a few points. Look, in an ideal world, it would be nice if it weren't a single individual who is the owner of a platform that is as important as Twitter. As Elon Musk has correctly stated, it is now the de facto public square. And freedom of speech, as I explained in The Parasitic Mind, is not something that is only relevant in the context of whether the government grants you freedom of speech or violates your freedom of speech. There's a whole ethos of freedom of speech. So when companies are engaging in violations of freedom of speech, as I again explained in The Parasitic Mind, to simply say, well, but those are private companies, they could do what they want, then you truly are missing the point of what it means to have, as I said, an ethos that either supports or infringes on the pursuit of freedom of speech. It's a cultural trait that is ingrained within the tapestry of a society, whether you support freedom or not. So once you start saying, well, but if you say something that I don't like, that if you criticize a religion, that's hate speech. If you say something about COVID that I disagree with, that's disinformation or misinformation, and therefore it is harmful, so we have to shut you down. If you keep Hunter Biden's story, blocked from being covered on Twitter so that Joe Biden wins the presidential election, but we now know that had more people who voted for him known about the corruption, then he would have lost the election. Then you can't hide behind, well, but it's freedom of, it's their private company there, or it's not. It doesn't. It's not the government engaging in censoring you. So it's not freedom of speech violations are not relevant. So again, people who take this position truly don't understand the existential meaning of freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is either supported by every fiber, by every DNA of society, or it isn't. So again, it's not only within the purview of the government to grant us those rights or take them away. Now, regarding Elon Musk, from a pragmatic point of view, I'm all for it because he obviously holds values that are congruent with a much freer exchange of information. He is a libertarian. He's certainly anti-woke. I've noticed that he is using the term woke mind virus. I wonder if there's anyone who has written the book on the topic. Now, of course, viruses of the human mind, in a mimetic sense, have existed for a while, but the idea that you would use the virus metaphor or the parasitic metaphor as applied to all things woke comes from this book. So as many people have tagged me, probably Elon Musk has read The Parasitic Mind. And if so, then how about we give a little shout out so that you can help more people get inoculated against the parasitic idea pathogens. Elon. So from a pragmatic point of view, I think it's a great thing that the blue-haired Taliban are no longer controlling Twitter. It shows you what happens when you have someone who is, unbeholden to the power structure. Just like Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump was a huge threat to all of the latte sipping folks because he was irreverent to the status quo, to the power structures. He came along, he wasn't beholden to anyone, and he was like a bull in a china shop, and that upset the status quo because it's dangerous. You want to control the mechanisms by which people ascend to positions of power, and here comes Donald Trump. He doesn't give a damn. He's got his own money and he can ascend to the highest political office. Similar thing is happening with Elon Musk. He is so wealthy that he gets pissed off because the Babylon Bee handle is blocked for saying something very innocuous, and he decides, hey, maybe I'm so pissed off, I'll buy damn Twitter. And so again, that's very, very threatening to the castrati like Brian Stelter et al. Because they operate in a world where they didn't have, free-flowing competitive forces whereby it forced them to be better, to be more honest, to provide a better service, because they were monopolizing the entire landscape of ideas. Well, there wasn't intellectual diversity within the landscape. Only one position was allowed on pretty much everything. If you thought that Hunter Biden was doing something wrong, you're banned. If you thought that COVID came from China, well, you're banned. If you thought that you should wear masks, you're banned. If you thought that you shouldn't wear masks, so depending on the depending on whatever was the accepted viewpoint that was de rigueur at that moment, if you took an opposing position, then you could see your account shut down. This is not how we wish to organize debates and exchanges in a free society. So from that perspective, I think we should be rejoicing that Elon Musk is now taken over Twitter. Now, of course, as I said, one never knows what happens when a single individual holds that much power. You'd like to think that he's not going to violate any of the tenets of freedom of speech that we'd like to think that he'd adhere to. But I certainly don't see any indication that he's going to be akin to the progressive left and their authoritarianism. So I think from that perspective, from a pragmatic perspective, it's something to be celebrated. Earlier today, I was joking around saying, when Elon Musk hires me as the CEO of Twitter, here are the people I'm going to ban and so on. Of course, what I was doing is I was being satirical in that I was engaging in the same type of reflex as the progressives do, right? Remember, the Malibu meditator, Sam Harris, whom I was always, very friendly with, been on his show, went to dinner together, we've communicated many times. We had a falling out because I could no longer handle his profound hypocrisy on many dimensions, including his just unhinged hysteria regarding Donald Trump. But one of the things that had really pissed me off was when he thanked directly Jack Dorsey. I'm talking about the Malibu meditator now. When he thanked Jack Dorsey for having banned the sitting United States president from Twitter. I mean, just unbelievable that someone could throw out the most fundamental deontological principle about freedom of speech because it was politically expedient to do so. He didn't like Donald Trump, therefore it made perfect sense that thank you, Jack Dorsey, for having the courage to ban the horrific Orange Himmler from your platform. Well, I wonder what the Malibu meditator is doing now, because he must be sending sucking up emails to Elon Musk. I'm your biggest fan, Elon. Hey, Elon, invite me to your parties, Elon. See, a person of shakhsiyya, as we say in Arabic, has a strong personhood, never equivocates his or her principles for political expediency. They never violate deontological principles. And so again, I think a lot of people today who are gleeful about the wonderful world of censorship that Twitter was exhibiting because it served them, because if you say that only women menstruate and you're a trans activist, then you're happy when all sorts of accounts are banned because they say, well, there is such a thing as biological male and biological female. Well, here's a prediction. I don't think that Elon Musk is going to ban people if they say that only women menstruate. I don't think that Elon Musk is going to ban people if they say that there are anatomical, morphological, behavioral, physiological, hormonal differences between biological males and biological females. And so, in the grand scheme of things, while it is perhaps not a good idea to have a single individual controlling such an important platform, again, in a pragmatic sense, having Elon Musk control Twitter is a lot better for freedom of speech than all of the grotesque, fascist, authoritarian Twitter fools that were running that company. In a free society, short of defamation, short of direct incitement to violence, right? Me uttering a position that is contrary to yours is not ideological violence. It's not linguistic violence. So unless you were to say, hey, let's go to the corner of such and such street and find all the Jews in the synagogue and harm them, that's a direct incitement to violence. So short of a few caveats, asterisks regarding freedom of speech, in a free society, all speech is protected, including, to repeat for the 1 millionth time, including the most grotesquely offensive speech, such as the denial of the Holocaust. And I'm Jewish. The way you defeat grotesque speech, false speech, racist speech is by allowing it to freely flow and then defeating it. There is no other epistemological means. So to the extent that Elon Musk is hopefully going to adhere to that fundamental principle, then there is really a lot to be happy about. So Elon, I shall await for you, number one, to start citing the Parasitic Mind properly, and number two, to be making me a huge offer to be running something that relates to reason and freedom of speech. Good to be back, guys. If you support what I do, please consider supporting me directly. You can click on the heart icon and support me in any way that you can. You can subscribe to the channel. You can tell your friends about it. You could leave nice comments. There are many ways that you can support those who do the things that are necessary for your children and mine to grow up in free societies. But again, thank you, Elon, for doing what you did. Here's a prediction. When it comes to your historical, the way that history will view you, your contributions to protecting freedom of speech will end up weighing much more heavily than your otherwise brilliant entrepreneurial activities, whether it be space exploration or the electric car. Cheers, everybody.